This is QTV Nightly News. I'm Omudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. And a reminder that you can also join us on Q Radio 103.3 FM. Here are the headlines. The Gambia and South Korea launched the $5.6 million K-Rice Belt project on Tuesday, a landmark initiative aimed at boosting food security through improved rice seed varieties and sustainable agriculture development. The Ministry of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services held a workshop today to review and validate the draft regulations for the Access to Information Act. The Department of Parks and Wildlife, in partnership with the National Environment Agency, conducted a tree planting exercise at Brikama-Nyangbai Forest on Saturday to protect flora and fauna. In international news, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is planning to activate a 260,000-member counter-terrorism brigade to combat the growing threat of terrorism and insecurity in the West African sub-region. And in sports news, Brook Football Club, former champions of the Fonyi Kansala District Tournament, are showcasing resilience this season with an impressive run despite facing numerous challenges. Those were the headlines, now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. At the launch of the National Project for the Development of Africa Rice Seed Cultivation Complex in the Gambia, senior South Korean and Gambian government officials on Tuesday expressed strong optimism about the country's future rice production. The multi-million-dollar project is expected to be a game changer in the Gambia's push towards rice self-sufficiency by 2028. Ansumana Isonyasi was at the launch event and he now reports.
Rice is the Gambia's staple food, and yet the country imports close to 90% of the rice it consumes, with a 2021 report stating that 81% of the country's rice needs were met through imports and only 19% was produced locally. The launch of the Rice Seed Cultivation Complex project marks the culmination of 60 years of enduring diplomatic relations between the Republic of the Gambia and the Republic of Korea. Funded to the tune of $5.6 million, the K-Rice Belt project seeks to, among other things, enhance rice productivity through the establishment of a seed cultivation and modern irrigation infrastructure. At the event, the Gambia's Minister of Agriculture, Demba Sabali, says that by introducing high-yielding rice, providing high-tech machinery, and sharing farming expertise, the project will greatly boost food security in the Gambia, and commends the Korean government for its continued partnership and support to the agricultural sector.
We know all too well that there is no country in history which has managed to transform its economy without creating a strong agriculture sector, given the contribution that it does to the critical development priorities such as poverty reduction through employment and income generation.
Mohamed Jah, Honorary Consul of the Republic of South Korea in the Gambia, underscores the significant and expected impact of the project, describing it as a manifestation of Korea's concrete steps towards supporting the full realization of the Gambia's food self-sufficiency drive, and commends the Gambia government for showing strong commitment and support.
Korea's first effort to support the Gambia's rice self-sufficiency began 3 years ago when the Korean embassy in Senegal provided a new variety of rice seeds. At the time, we were uncertain whether to trust the descriptions of the seed's potential. Korea officials explained that it could bring revolutionary results, but we had no prior experience cultivating this seed. We began modestly with just 10 hectares, but today that cultivation area has expanded to 150 hectares.
Highlighting the scope and objectives of the initiative, Im Ye-jung, Deputy Chief of Mission at the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Senegal, alongside Lee Sang-beom of the Korea Rural Community Corporation, expressed strong optimism about the project's transformative potential. They noted that beyond achieving self-sufficiency, the initiative could eventually position the Gambia as a rice exporter within the region. Both officials praised Mr. Jah and the Ministry of Agriculture for their instrumental role in bringing the project to life, underscoring the importance of local partnership in ensuring its long-term success.
I believe that the efforts the Gambia is making today will likewise become a source of pride and gratitude for your future generations. and I am truly pleased that Korea can work together with the Gambia on this journey.
Stakeholders believe this project can turn the tide away from the Gambia's heavy dependence on imported rice by empowering local farmers with the tools, knowledge and high-yield seeds necessary for sustainable growth and strengthening the nation's agricultural resilience. The rice seed cultivation complex, once fully operational, is expected to serve as a hub for research, development and distribution of improved rice seed varieties. And like Moro Manga, director of the National Seed Secretariat, who delivered the vote of thanks, the event marked not just the start of a new project, but the beginning of a hopeful journey toward food security and national development. Antoine Nyase for KTV News.
On Tuesday, the Ministry of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services held a workshop to review and validate the draft regulations for the Access to Information Act. Mam Nabuka was there, and this is our report.
This significant event took place at a local residence and brought together a diverse group of stakeholders, including government officials, civil society representatives, media practitioners, and legal experts. The Access to Information Act, which was enacted in 2021 to promote transparency and accountability in governance, is a critical piece of legislation designed to empower citizens by granting them the right to access information held by public authorities. There has been criticism that the legislation was enacted in haste and before all the systems were in place to deliver on the bold ambitions of this legislation. As such, the 2025 draft regulations being reviewed are intended to provide a framework that will guide the implementation of this act, ensuring that the processes for accessing information are clear, efficient, and user-friendly. Dr. Ismaila Cisse, the Minister of Information, says this is a step forward to ensure that the needs and aspirations of Gambians are met without barriers.
For the first time in our history, Gambians were guaranteed the legal right to request and obtain information from public institutions. This right is fundamental to building a vibrant democracy, strengthening good governance, and ensuring that citizens are active participants in national development. However, we also recognize that a law alone is not enough. The draft ATI Regulation 2025, which we are here to validate, are therefore critical in standardizing how information requests are made and processed, setting timelines and responsibilities for public institutions, outlining exemptions and appeal procedures, and empowering the ATI Commission to oversee compliance and enforcement.
Nene McDolgay, the chairperson of the ATI Commission, who, along with her commissioners, was sworn in September 2024, called on participants to ensure that the regulations are practical, inclusive, and enforceable.
As we go through the draft regulations today, I encourage open dialogue, constructive feedback, and a spirit of collaboration. As a participatory process, your voice matters.
As the process moves forward, stakeholders, including participants at this workshop, remain hopeful that the final regulations will empower citizens, promote accountability, and thereby strengthen democratic practices in the country. Mam Nabuka, reporting for QTV News.
The Department of Parks and Wildlife, in partnership with the National Environment Agency, conducted a tree planting exercise at the Brikama Forest on Saturday as part of the 4-year implementation of the Nagoya Protocol under the Convention on Biological Diversity to protect the environment. Our Bob has more.
Tree planting in the Gambia is increasingly seen as a vital lifetime for both communities and the environment, forming a key part of the nation's response to the escalating challenges of climate change. Driving this initiative is the Access and Benefit Sharing Project, supported by the Global Environment Facility. The project aims to guarantee the fair and equitable distribution of benefits from the use of genetic resources, while at the same time advancing conservation and sustainable development. Dr. Dauda Baji, Executive Director of the National Environment Agency, and Maria Mandau, Director of the Central Project Coordination Unit at the Ministry of Environment, both underscored the importance of the initiative.
This project, the ABS, the Nagoya Protocol, access to benefit sharing. It's something that is going to revitalize this, and then the communities around can benefit from the importance of these genetic species that are fading out of this country. And it is our role, the current generation, to ensure that we really build the future that we want our children to inherit.
The Gambia Minister of Environment, we have set targets in terms of our achievement in terms of reduction in CO2. And for our national determined contribution, NDC2, we set 49.7% reduction in terms of emissions. And of course, the ministry alone cannot achieve this. We have the projects, we have the departments, we have so many stakeholders that are very much key to achieving this. And today I can proudly say that this initiative is towards achieving that NDC2.
The ABS project supports communities to fight land degradation, restore ecosystems, and gain both economic and nutritional benefits from their environment. Abubakar Kujabi is the project coordinator of the ABS initiative in the Gambia.
This project called Access and Benefits Sharing emanated from a convention that the Gambia is a party to, that is United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. So the diversity is what we want to maintain. So we cannot have achieved the biological diversity when we don't include the communities. So this is one of the activities that we started a week ago, where communities were engaged. We discussed with them to see how we could address some of the issues that we are experiencing within this forest park, that is Nyambai Forest Park.
Baksamba Bah, the Alcalo of Birkama Willingara, and Usman Bojang, governor of the West Coast region, both commended the initiative, stressing its importance in safeguarding the environment and enhancing community well-being. The tree planting exercise at Birkama Nyambai Forest not only reinforces the Gambia's commitment to the Nagoya Protocol, but also highlights the ABS project's role in fostering sustainable development. By linking conservation with community benefits, the initiative stands as a practical response to climate change and a pathway to safeguarding the country's biodiversity for future generations. For QTV News, I am our boy.
We will now go for a commercial break, and when we return, we still have more international and sports news stories. Do stay tuned and join us after the break.
Supersonics Islamic Insurance. Nyinne Gambia la insurance follow te mi yalonko, yalla solo kuwal kamalena. Minne sariyango tata, ye kukuto kamalena, minul be sone yaring, falla bunda dal, nga insurance service sifa jamal le sotali. Purka jeko, ali kayro soto, tanko, aning hakil tenkungo, wati yo wati sulatala. Ida ke Supersonic Insurance Company la dokuoto. Isen na lodulaje, nkumande bi, plus 220 513 2319 513-2318 wala 513-2315. Isang email no info@supersonicinsurance.com. Wara yetan na website oto www.supersonicinsurance.com. Ese futano na dunkira bato bimbe Beka Plaza 56 Liberation Avenue, Banjul.
Browse Bitus. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News, and we will straight go into international news. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is planning to activate a 260,000-member counter-terrorism brigade to combat the growing threat of terrorism and insecurity in the West African sub-region. This initiative was announced by ECOWAS President Omar Aliou Touré at the 2025 African Chiefs of Defense Staff Summit in Abuja. Aissatou Bari has the details.
The announcement comes as West Africa faces worsening insecurity threats. Jihadist groups linked to Boko Haram, Islamic State, and Al-Qaeda continue to launch deadly attacks in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and northern Ghana. What successes have been registered by state actors have been few and far between. The Sahel region alone accounted for more than half of global terrorism deaths in 2024, which is 51% of global terrorism deaths. The new force will provide financial and logistical support to frontline states battling extremist violence, complementing the existing 5,000-man African standby force. To sustain the new deployment, ECOWAS requires an annual budget of $2.5 billion. Finance and defense ministers are set to meet in Abuja to agree on how member states will raise the funds, while also seeking international support. The bloc hopes the United Nations will honor its pledge of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2719 of December 2023 to fund 75% of African-led peace support operations. In recognition of the important role they have to play, and to acknowledge some of the wider consequences of terrorism, not all the speakers were from the military. As well as Amina Mohammed, they included engineer Basir Bayo Ojolari, the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Nigeria's state-owned oil company, who delivered a goodwill message at the summit's opening ceremony.
Security forms a key pillar of the energy business and therefore plays a very important and strategic role in achieving our national, regional, continental energy security goals.
The Abuja summit also focused on maritime security and the threat of transnational crime, with plans to establish regional maritime centers. Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu called for a united African defense strategy, while UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed stressed the urgency of African leaders taking ownership of their security architecture, with terrorist attacks rising by 250% in West Africa's coastal states. In just 2 years, the creation of a 260,000-strong ECOWAS counter-terrorism brigade signals a turning point in the region's fight against insecurity. However, with over 1,000 insurgent groups still active across the continent, the challenge of delivering peace remains immense. Aissatou Bari, QTV News.
Also in international news, Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday began a historic state visit to Brazil, where he was welcomed with full honors at the office of President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. It underscores the importance of the visit as both countries work to revive a once thriving partnership. Yafatu Gay tells us more.
Talks between the two leaders and their delegations are centered on boosting trade, creating jobs, and expanding cooperation in farming, energy, aviation, tourism, and culture. Nigerian ministers, governors, and business leaders are also holding meetings with their Brazilian counterparts to explore new opportunities. In a challenging global political and economic climate, including heavy tariffs on Brazil announced by the Trump administration, many nations are expanding their trade links. As such, President Lula stressed the urgency of strengthening trade ties, recalling that Nigeria was once Brazil's biggest trading partner in Africa. Over the last decade, however, trade has dropped from $10 billion in 2014 to just $2 billion in 2024. This must change, he said. Two of the largest economies in Africa and Latin America should be doing much more together. Nigeria's finance minister, Wale Edun, echoed this statement, saying, "This is a time the global south must trade more with each other." President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, "The visit is an opportunity to restore and strengthen the relationship between the two nations
which had been affected by past misunderstandings.
We've allowed some problems,
muitos problemas
inactivities,
e muitas atividades no passado.
to deter
E isso nos
what is a progress.
impediu o
And a
progresso e nossas promessas, mas
Today we say
hoje,
that is the end of that.
Beyond economic ties, President Tinubu's visit also highlights the deep cultural and historical connections between Nigeria and Brazil. Brazil is a home to one of the largest populations of African descent outside Africa, where centuries-old Yoruba traditions continue to thrive. In the northeastern state of Bahia, for instance, communities actively practice Condomble, a religion rooted in Yoruba spiritual beliefs. Festivals such as Egungun, honoring ancestral spirits, remain vibrant, while Orisha worship, traditional music, dance, cuisines continue to shape daily life and celebrate African heritage. These cultural expressions serve as living reminder of the shared history between the two nations. In Nigeria, the Aguda community in Lagos carries a unique blend of Brazilian and Yoruba heritage. Descendants of Afro-Brazilian returnees in the 19th century, the Agudas introduced Brazilian-style architecture, including tiled house, arched doorways, and colorful facades, which still characterize neighborhoods like Popo Aguda. They also brought back agricultural practices, culinary techniques, and Catholic religious customs, which, when combined with Yoruba traditions, created a distinctive cultural identity. Today, this community symbolizes the enduring connections between Nigeria and Brazil, highlighting how history, migration, and shared traditions continue to influence both sciences. Reviving the relationship between Nigeria and Brazil promises significant benefits for both nations. Strengthened trade ties could open new markets for goods and services, creating jobs and boosting economic growth. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafatu Gay.
Coming up next is sports news. Burok Football Club, former champions of the Fonyi Kansala District Tournament, are proving their resilience this season despite battling through numerous challenges. The team has defied expectations and is enjoying an impressive run in the competition. More in this report. Ahead of the Fonyi District Football Tournament, Burok United were tipped to bow out in the early rounds. Their form had slipped in past seasons due to limited financial and material support. Yet defying all predictions, the team has remained unbeaten since the tournament kicked off. Yankuba Bojang, a member of Burok United FC's technical committee, shares the story of the team's founding.
It was formed since around 1970s. In fact, before we were born, our brothers have been competing, and this team was formed in order to bring the youth together. As we all know, sports, especially football, it used to promote social cohesion, that unity among the youth.
Lamin K. Jaju, the Secretary General of Burok FC, highlights some of the team's achievements.
Our first achievement was to bring a trophy for the village. That was the year 2021 against Babusar FC. We won them by 2-0. So as of now, we are on our preparation for the next trophy again, inshallah. This is for the Nautan season, BM 2025-2026.
Dauda Jata, a former player and coach of the team and current president of the Fonyi Kansala Football Committee, discussed the growth and development of football in Fonyi.
For the past 1 year to almost the second year, football has greatly improved in Fonyi in particular. Yeah, because when you look at the trend of performance that Fonyi as a zone is playing, you will have no doubt that there is talent here, and the talent that is even qualified to represent at the national levels in all categories. Just lately, in the third division qualifiers, we have seen a Fonyi team from Sibano United, who has almost all players from all the 5 districts of Fonyi that has played and qualified to the second division this year. So that can tell you that there is talent in Fonyi.
Yankuba Bojang and Lamin K. Jaju outlined the challenges the team is currently facing and called for support.
Every gym we used to do camping. So during at the camping ground also, we within the executive members and some players also used to contribute to buy food and drinks to give to the players and other fans too. So we also need money for the transportation of players and the fans from here, our village, to where to the BR Mini Stadium where we used to play our football games. So definitely we need financial support.
We lack footballs, we lack football jerseys as well, and we lack football bibs, cones, and in fact even the post nets, we really need them. We are appealing to private entities outside there, those who love football, and most of the time they used to give support to the ones who are in need, especially GFF, QCell as well, because we have been seeing them sponsoring other people as well. So we are really appealing to them in order for them to support us.
Broke Football Club's remarkable turnaround highlights determination and teamwork, showing that with resilience and adequate financial and material support, even the most doubted teams can exceed expectations and shine in the tournament. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News. Now, before we end, here is a recap of the main news headlines. The Gambia and South Korea launched the $5.6 million K-Rice Belt project on Tuesday, a landmark initiative aimed at boosting food security through improved rice seed varieties and sustainable agricultural development. The Ministry of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services held a workshop today to review and validate the draft regulations for the Access to Information Act. The Department of Parks and Wildlife, in partnership with the National Environment Agency, conducted a tree planting exercise at Brikama Nyambai Forest on Saturday to protect flora and fauna. In international news, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is planning to activate a 260,000-member counter-terrorism brigade to combat the growing threat of terrorism and insecurity in the West African sub-region. In sports news, Burok Football Club, former champions of the Fonyi Kansala District Tournament, are showcasing resilience this season with an impressive run despite facing numerous challenges. That's all in this news bulletin. Join us again at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.